Couple last questions that I can think of is, what do you think about, so you've dieted this person down, we're down to the last week before the show, and we'll see people risk 50% of their progress for an extra 5% improvement, or you always hear, oh, I looked so much better on that Sunday or the Monday after the show. I mean, have you figured this out? Is this something that is true? Is it kind of perspective? Is it you get some sodium in you and you look better? How can somebody start to peak a little bit for that show? And do you believe in carb loading? I hear of salt loading. I hear water. I mean, you hear all this stuff.
There's a lot of different techniques I use. Again, it just depends on the individual. I will say that 80% of the people that said they look better on Sunday or Monday are full of shit. Just so you know. I mean, it does happen, but it's pretty rare. People think they might look better, but they don't necessarily look better. It depends, man. Typically, I try not to make anything too crazy or make any crazy changes unless I feel like it's necessary and going to make a big difference. So if I got a guy should be ready to step on, guy or girl should be ready to step on stage a couple weeks out from the show without a doubt. And then they just coast in. And if you do that, then there doesn't have to be any crazy carb up days. It may be somebody that I needed every last minute I could get to try to get some more fat off of them, and we try to we do a carb up in like a 2-day time, or even 1 day, some days, sometimes 3 days. But if I have things going the way I want them to go, I have somebody ready to go at least 7 to 10 days out, and then slowly carb them up. I think you can take in carbs and fill out quickly, but I don't think you can fill out head to toe properly in all cases without having some time. Your body replenishes glycogen in next to no time, but that doesn't mean it gets your muscles pulling from head to toe, pushing from head to toe. So I think the more time you have to slowly carb somebody up and slowly start pulling that water back, I think the better off you are.
Well, I've seen that with myself. Like I don't carb up quickly. We got to start early, and it takes forever. But it's something, again, with experience. You show you do, you're gonna learn something. So and I mean, you learn something, but then again, sometimes it's still different. You could have the same diet when you're 30 years old and try and do it again when you're 35, and it's not going to work. So you can't always go back to what you always did. So it's constantly an evolution.
That's a great point. And there's another guy. There's a couple guys, the biggest names out there in contest prep, and I was reading an article by one of them, and he said something that was very true, and it really stood out to me. And he said, if he had a quarter for every time he ran into a guy who didn't peak or didn't look the way he wanted to look when he hit the pro stage or the national stage, and this, one of these competitors came up to him and said, I'm going to go back to what I did last year or the year before, he said he'd be a rich man, because the reality is you can't go back. Everything evolves, everything changes. What works for me or what works for Jason in 2012 is not going to be exactly the same thing that works in 2013. And a lot of people don't take that into consideration. They go back and look through their notes and do the same thing they did 5 years ago. You're not going to get the same result. It may get you close to where you want to be, but your body changes as you get older. Everything changes. And they might not be huge changes. They're little changes, but you got to be able to adjust. So
that's a great point. The last thing I can think of that I wanted to ask you about was, training aside, because that would be a whole other video, is what's your general opinion on cardio? Are you a fan of low intensity cardio, now you see a lot of HIIT cardio, like the sprint interval training? What's your general opinion, or do you think it's different for everybody? Or
I mean, that again varies, but my goal as far as an overview of what I try to do with a majority of the clients is the most food I can get them eating possible. Establish a baseline, get them eating as much food as possible. Slowly start pulling back the food. Slowly increase the cardio. Nothing crazy, just small changes. The cardio itself, more of a lower intensity. If I got a guy on a treadmill, it might be like 5.0 incline, 4.5 incline, maybe 3.6, 3.7. If it's a shorter guy, maybe he's not going that fast, but somewhere around there, not holding on.
That's fast.
Yeah.
I go at like 2.8.
Well, the other thing that really more and more guys are using these days, and girls, is the step mill. You can't go at that pace, but man, there's nothing that hits the hams and the glutes and that tie-in like the step mill. So that's huge. So a lot of times what I have with people these days is I have, if I have them doing say 45 minutes, it may be 25 minutes on the step mill and 20 minutes on the tread.
Okay.
You know, and the more that, you know, it just depends. I mean, if somebody can handle all step, you know, have at it. But usually I just gradually incorporate breaking up the two. Or I try to utilize maybe the treadmill to start, and then I start incorporating the step mill, and then start breaking up the time.
So you really don't have people doing like a whole lot of sprinting on the track or anything like that?
No, I mean, you know, you can go old school and always run the bleachers, you know, for the hammer glutes, but now that you got the step mill, that kind of, you know, can take that up too. So there's lots of different things you can do to mix it up to keep it from not being so monotonous and boring. But, you know, if you're asking me what I usually do, that's what I usually do. You know, another thing might be if I have somebody who's kind of behind or they're short on time, they don't have, you know, they've got a real demanding career or something where they can't spend, you know, an hour a day doing cardio and train. We can maybe incorporate in some more high intensity stuff. But usually what I do that it's usually not too crazy. It might be on the treadmill, walking it for 5 minutes, jogging for 2 minutes, walking for 2 minutes, jogging for 2 minutes, you know, till you get to a total of 30 minutes. And you can get away with burning some fat and a lot of calories doing that two, maybe 3 times a week. Anything more than that, you might jeopardize losing some muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I'm sure you've seen clients have, I mean, you know, you've had clients probably do as little as half-hour cardio a day to hours. Like, I mean, what's the range? I mean, what's the most you've ever had somebody that do cardio a day?
2.5. You know?
Total hours?
Yeah.
It's a lot of cardio.
And this guy right here does next to nothing.
That's so not true.
Yeah, I think 20 minutes, 20
Yeah.
minutes, something like that. So it just, again, it depends. I mean, my goal is with the food to get the metabolism cranked up,
Right.
so the cardio is at a minimum. But you know, most of us have to do cardio. There's just not a, it's hard to get around that, you know. For most people, there's some freaks out there really can get away without it, without having to do much. But for the majority of people, cardio is going to be necessary.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody needs a contest prep diet coach and you know they want to contact you, first of all, are you accepting new clients? How do they get in touch with you? You know, do you have any information that we can give them out?
I try to keep my client base to no more than 18 people at a time, so the answer would be yes, I do accept new clients. Best way to contact me, my website where myself and my partner promote some shows has some testimonials and some pictures, some people I've helped. That's www.mainstagemuscle.com. You can go on there, you can see what some of the people I've helped have to say, talk a little bit about myself, and then you have my contact information, which is KD, my initials, prep@gmail.com.
Great. Anything else you can think of that you want to close with?
I think that's about it. It's just time to get your fat ass in shape.
Will do.
I guess he ain't fat. Never has been, but...
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll have some more information with Kevin sometime in the future, hopefully, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.